Hello there, everybody. Can you believe it is week 5? Dr. Mac here. This week we dig into compensation, motivation, all of those great topics. And I just wanted to check in and just share some input or some examples. I was actually just talking to a coworker the other day who stated that on Mondays she used to give her employees, she was a supervisor, $10 extra if they could show up on time. And that used to motivate them to get them to work on Monday. And I was thinking about if that would work. She said that was probably about 15, 20 years ago. I was thinking about that if it would work today. And in my own view, I think that perhaps it could work, but I think that it also comes from a place of appreciation and respect. If you feel valued in your workplace, then you're more willing to show up for $10. If you don't feel as valued or respected, or as if compensation or respect are given in an organization, then I feel like maybe you wouldn't. I think about all the direct and indirect financial compensation. So from things such as your benefits to PTO to birthday celebrations to some workplaces give out gym memberships. Some will even cater food if you stay late in the evenings to work overtime, etc. So we think about those non-financial compensation and how they affect an employee's morale and how they view the organization, HR, employee fairness and equity, and those are all great ways to look at non-financial compensation. And in addition, we also look at compensation in the sense of back then and today. So when we think about compensation back then, I'm talking about maybe the 50s, 60s, etc. I think about, for example, my grandfather who worked in the steel industry and ultimately passed away from mesothelioma from working in the steel mills. And before he passed, he told me that when he started working at the steel mill, on his lunch breaks, he used to go lay on the radiator and take a nap because it was always so cold that he would go warm up and lay on the radiator. And when he was laying there, he used to see asbestos flying around in the air. You could see it. And he had heard that it was bad for him, but, hadn't really seen the effects of it. But the way that he told me was the steel mill was a good job, and you made good money and you got a pension at the steel mill. So if you got an offer at a steel mill, you took it. You didn't turn it down. And I think about that today, and if that industrial, transactional approach to looking at compensation and motivation would be the same. And I think that we have transitioned greatly to look at our self-care, our quality of life, and not just accepting what we have been given. So, I think about the companies that are now giving gym memberships to paying for vacations to, for example, my wife and I run a nonprofit, and we have a volunteer that mows on Fridays. That volunteer works at a local brewery here in Asheville called New Belgium. You may have heard of it. And for every hour that she volunteers, they give her in return an hour of PTO. So we're not just looking at people and compensation and motivation as a transactional process. We're looking at it as a transformational process that really balances how we look at an organization. And in return, when we treat employees well with compensation, with non-financial compensation, with those perks that influence an employee's satisfaction with the organization. In return, it, reduces issues of employee turnover, retention, training, saves money, and just allows employees to just have a better quality of life and work, job satisfaction. So, we think about it in that sense of how, you know, uh, compensation affects the organization, and specifically, human resource management and the strategies that are implemented within the human resource department. In addition, this week we talk about motivation. What motivates someone? Is it pay? Is it words? Is it external? Is it, words of affirmation? I think that, each employee, just like each student, feels valued in multiple different ways, which is why I think motivation is so, and incentives can operate in different ways. And that's why I think that, what we look at this week is different incentive systems and the issues related to those incentive systems. And, I think that having multiple incentive systems is actually beneficial, because we all learn in different ways. We all feel appreciated and respected in different ways. And so, think about that as you read this week's content. Let me see, is there anything else that I wanted to talk to you all about? This week we also talk about how these work environments are based on building meaningful, committed relationships with employees. And I think that is really important, and is the key to the strategies within motivation, incentive, compensation. I'm going to give you one more example. I worked for a place that didn't give me a raise or an evaluation in 10 years. And, I have talked previously maybe about Lencioni. He's an author who wrote The 3 Signs of a Miserable Job. Great book if you want to look it up. And he says that the 3 biggest issues with people being dissatisfied with their workplaces: 1, they're anonymous, their bosses, community don't know who they are; 2, there's no measurables, no evaluations; and 3, they don't understand how they fit into the bigger picture, and what they do doesn't seem like it matters. So I think about that in the sense of the job that I had without a raise for 10 years. I felt like just a person. Nobody really knew who I was. There were no measurables because there was no evaluation, and my job didn't feel like it made a difference, because I feel like if it made a difference and if I had done better work, maybe there would be a raise, a promotion. And this was a job where there was 20, 30 other people in my same position. So working for a place for 10 years and not getting a raise, sometimes we would get like a t-shirt every couple years, which was almost like, in that sense, although it was like an act of good faith, sometimes felt like an insult. And so I just wanted to share some of those examples and how incentive plans, alternative rewards, create employee satisfaction and equity. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I will be probably getting your written assignments graded by Thursday. I will probably have any discussion forums graded by Monday. If you have any questions, give me an email and we will go from there. If you need any individual meetup virtual sessions, let me know and we'll go from there. All right, happy week 5. Take care, y'all.